Get 3, 2, 1, go!
Look at it!
Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing something actually pretty serious. I was actually really shocked when I heard about this. Turns out there's actually a convicted serial killer and rapist living in Quebec right now. Now, the lady in question that I'm talking about, his name was Karla Homolka. A lot of people around might know that name, but for anyone who doesn't, before I introduce her, let me introduce you to one more key character in this story, because Paul is the main character in the story. But it's not a good story. Just keep that in mind. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, my name is Boss Girl. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. Let's go. Now, Paul was born on August 27th, 1964. Right? This happened quite a while ago, but still the events were recent. He was a narcissistic, he had sometimes occasionally abusive salesman who met 17-year-old Karla Homolka. And she was working as a veterinary assistant, and that becomes very important later in the story. Just keep that in mind. They met on around October of 1987. She was born on May 4th, 1970. Now, she became deeply submissive to him. They got engaged in 1989. They got married on June 29th, 1991, and they had a pretty big extravagant wedding. When I was looking up the pictures of the wedding, the one photo that I found that really stuck out to me, there wasn't any pictures of like them with like a big crowd or anything, which is mostly like they looked rich, they looked well off, at least like for the time. This is like 80s, 90s times, right? So from 1987 to 1990, Bernardo was operating alone in Scarborough, Ontario, and he was known as the Scarborough Rapist. He would commit at least 18 acts of assault against young women, and 14 of them were linked to him using forensics and his DNA. Now, he would target young women at bus stops. He would go out and threaten these women with a knife, where he would proceed to anally rape them. And he would stop this in the year of 1990 when he moved with Karla to St. Catharines in 1990. Their first joint murder occurred on December 23rd, 1990, and this viewer discretion is advised, because this is where the story starts to get twisted. When Homolka drugged her own 15-year-old sister and offered her virginity to Paul as a Christmas gift. Yes, you heard that right. She offered her own sister's virginity to her boyfriend as a Christmas gift. Same woman living in Quebec right now. No.
Up spending most holidays with the Homolkas. It was during this time, in the summer of 1990, that Paul developed an obsession for Karla's 16-year-old sister, Tammy. Tammy was, similarly to her sister, a well-liked member of the local community.
Hi.
She was particularly talented at sports, participating in track and field, cross-country, running, and soccer. It turned out that Karla was just as twisted as Paul.
Hi, Karla.
Hi.
Say hi to the camera.
Hi. Look at me, a twin.
Oh, focus in on Karla.
Come here.
Isn't she beautiful?
Come here.
When her partner confessed his attraction for Tammy to her, Karla helped hatch a plan to make Paul's fantasies become a reality. According to Karla, her plan of drugging her sister in order for Paul to assault her was supposed to minimize risks, take control, and keep it all in the family. However, her claims would soon turn out to be false instead. Behind Karla's Barbie-like appearance were monstrous fantasies, ones of control, sadism, and death.
My God, what the fuck did he just say?
One evening in July 1990, Karla was cooking dinner for Tammy in an apparent gesture of sisterly kindness. What Tammy did not know, however, was that her spaghetti sauce had been laced with Valium, which her sister had stolen from her employer. Tammy fell into a deep sleep. Paul then saw his chances. He assaulted Tammy for an entire minute before she began to awaken. Paul pulled away at that moment, but it would not be long until his unsatisfied urges would once again take over. Moreover, Karla was determined to turn Paul's fantasy into a reality, claiming that she wished to offer Tammy's virginity to Paul for Christmas.
Nigga, what?
On Christmas Eve 1990, the couple once again drugged Tammy. During the party, Karla served Tammy drinks infused with triazolam. Their parents were upstairs and asleep during this time. Triazolam is a type of benzodiazepine drug acting as a tranquilizer. Then, in order to make sure Tammy did not wake up during the act, Karla placed a rag dipped in halothane over her sister's face. Halothane acted as a further anesthetic. Sadly, Paul and Karla's plan to assault Tammy worked. However, Tammy soon started choking on her own vomit and died during the assault. In a panic, Karla clothed Tammy and cleaned up the crime scene, claiming that her death had been accidental. She attempted to revive her, but to no avail. The couple then dialed 911 and hid any remaining evidence, moving Tammy back into her bed. In spite of drugs having been detected in Tammy's bloodstream at the time of her death, this aspect was overlooked, and the family decided to call her death accidental. However, unbeknownst to them, Karla and Paul had filmed her sister's entire assault, taking turns holding the camera and filming Tammy's miserable last few moments alive.
Bruh. The sister's name was Tammy. While she was unconscious, Tammy was raped vaginally and anally by the both of them while Paul taped it all. She vomited and she aspirated her vomit, which means it got into her lungs, and she later died. The death was ruled as an accidental choking on vomit, and there were no initial charges placed. Now fast forward to January of 1991. Homolka invited her 15-year-old friend, who was otherwise known as Jane Doe, who she then went ahead and drugged with halothane, which she obtained from her vet job. They both raped her while she was unconscious. She survived, but she had no memory of the encounter because of the drugs. Now, and up till this day, no one really knows who she is. She's chosen to remain anonymous. Now, fast forward to June 14th of 1991. Where they blindfolded 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey, who was stuck outside of her house because her parents locked her out because she missed a curfew. Now, this is the action that unfortunately ended up sealing her fate this fateful night, because she ended up running into Karla and Paul. Karla and Paul then drove her out to their Port Dalhousie house, where for the next 24 hours, she endured repeated assault, and it was all captured on a camcorder. They recorded everything, man. On June 16th, Paul strangled her with an electrical cord. He dismembered the body using a circular saw that they kept in their basement, stuffed it into concrete, and then dumped it into the bottom of Lake Gibson. On April 16th, 1992, now fast forward to April 16th, 1992, Homolka lured her 15-year-old friend, Kristen French, from the church parking lot in St. Catharines, while Paul held a knife. Over the next 3 days in their home, Kristen was subjected to brutal assaults, torture including cigarette burns and beatings, forced acts with Homolka, and constant filming. They filmed everything. They recorded all the evidence and wanted to keep it. What I'm assuming was for them to later enjoy or goon to later. Now fast forward to April 19th. All her hair was cut off, her body was washed to remove any DNA evidence left behind, and she was dumped in a ditch where she was later found. Now, in 1993, a DNA sample found in 1990 finally matched Bernardo, and this is where all the dominoes began to fall. On January 5th of 1993, he severely beat Homolka with a flashlight. Remember before I mentioned he was abusive too.
7th of December 1992, Bernardo beat Homolka with a flashlight, bruising her. She would eventually report Bernardo for domestic violence, thus allowing law enforcement to arrest him.
I want to do everything I can for you to put that bastard away forever. He doesn't even deserve to live, but I want him to rot in jail because dying's too good for him.
Car! I love the car! Hey, car! God, it hurts. Oh, it hurts.
You're listening to a sobbing Paul Bernardo begging for Karla Homolka to come back home, back to the marital bliss that was once captured in these photographs, but was shattered in this flashlight attack in January 93.
I smashed the flashlight against my own head. It hurts a lot. I'm sorry.
He beat Homolka with a flashlight. He hospitalized her. She then left him, and on February 9th, contacted the police, claiming years of abuse and implicating him of crimes while portraying herself as a battered victim. And just for simpler words, she pretty much, so he put hands on her. She went to the hospital and she left him. But then now she basically snitched on him. But then as she was snitching on him, because remember, they were doing this together. As she was snitching on him, she went ahead and said that he was forcing me to do this. Like, he would beat me if I didn't do this. Like, he would harm me if I didn't want to do this. So now there were 6 homemade tapes that were found, totaling to 3 hours of footage. Now, it was hidden inside a light ceiling fixture of the former home that they shared together. They were recovered in May of 1993 after a 77-day search authorized by Bernardo's lawyer himself. The tapes graphically depicted all the rapes and murders, including Homolka's enthusiastic participation, not coercion. So, like she was trying to say before, she was trying to say he made me do this, he forced me to do this, but the tapes proved otherwise. Because remember, they were recording every single thing. Like, these guys would have someone locked up for 3 days, and they would be recording them for the full 3 days. In July of 1993, before the tapes were fully reviewed, she pleaded guilty on 2 counts of manslaughter in exchange for a 12-year sentence. She testified against Bernardo, was incarcerated in Manitoba, then Quebec, served full term, and was released on 4th of July 2005. All restrictions expired in 2007. She was later remarried, had children, and now lives in Quebec. Now, my question is, I'm not one to judge someone for the person that they pick, for the type of partner that they pick. But why would you pick someone who did this shit to their own sister, bro? And their own friends? Like, this is someone who snaked their own family, has snaked their own friends in some of the worst ways possible. Like, honestly, there's some fates that are worse than death, in my opinion. And enduring something like this, I would rather just be straight killed than to endure 3 days or something like this, right? Now,
that Bernardo had claimed to have had upwards of 30 assault victims. Furthermore, it is believed that he had other murder victims as well.
Her self-confidence, perhaps a feature of extreme narcissism, would come in handy when she showed up in court to testify against her husband.
In 1995, Bernardo was tried for the murders of French and Mahaffey. He tried to suggest that the deaths were accidental and that Homolka was the actual killer. But on September 1st, 1995, he was convicted of multiple offenses, including 2 second-degree murders and aggravated assaults. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Deemed a
Bernardo was arrested in February 17th, 1993. His trial was in 1995 in Toronto. It lasted months, featuring videotapes as key evidence. The jury convicted him on September 1st, 1995 on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 aggravated sexual assaults, 2 kidnappings, 2 forcible confinements, and 1 count of committing an indignity to a human body. He received a life imprisonment without parole eligibility for the 25 years and was declared a dangerous offender. Ensuring indefinite incarceration, parole has been denied multiple times. He remains in a maximum security prison, where he should be. That's the case in general, and I have a few questions myself. It's like, this is the craziest plea deal I've ever seen in my life. 12 fucking years. Like, remember, this is 6 tapes equaling 3 hours of content. Like, okay, you see, now I just only have a few questions after going and reading all of that, and just even at all the research that I've done. My first thing, not even a question, it's a statement. This has to be the craziest plea deal that I've ever read in my fucking life. Like, this is honestly insane. Because keep in mind, she only got 12 years in prison, right? Granted, she was 17 when they met. She was 20 years old when she lured her own sister and offered her virginity as a Christmas present to her boyfriend or husband, whatever the hell they were at the time. Husband, I think, yeah, because they were married. Now, that was her first joint murder. She was 21 years old when she lured the Jane Doe, the 15-year-old that she was then also 21 years old when she lured 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey. Granted, she isn't the one who committed the murders, but she was an accessory to them. She did assault 3 minors as an adult and only got 12 years for it. Like, even for me, not even that. The even crazier thought is, who the fuck would marry someone like this and have kids with them? Because she is married right now, living in Quebec, according to sources, right? Karla Homolka and her children living in the Montreal suburb of Chateau. I'm not even gonna try to say that. Whatever the fuck this is. And multiple reports say Homolka is now living in the town of Judd. Most people haven't seen her since she was spotted waiting at a bus stop almost 10 years ago. Holy. Even, my question is, like, even her kids, she has children. Like, I understand people like to make the argument that, like, imagine, like Riley Reid's kids or Lana Rhodes' kids, like how they would feel finding out what their mother did. But honestly, I think this honestly might be worse. Like, I completely agree with this statement where it says Robin Urbach on Karla Homolka, who would marry a murderer? Who did someone who did this to their own sister? Like, it says, one of the great tragedies of the Homolka story will come when her children realize who their mother is. And they will start thinking of their father and wonder just what's wrong with him and how could he fall in love with that monster. Like, even for me, I have questions for the husband. I have questions for Karla herself. I have questions for the people who gave her 12 years. I don't care if it's a plea deal, bro. What? Nigga, they were guilty as hell. There was no way in hell they were getting out of this. Like, even the plea deal was pretty much a slap on the wrist. Let's not even call it a plea deal. It was a fucking slap on the wrist, bro. This is actually fucking crazy, bro. Like, and she just gets to live life like it's nothing. Anyway, just let me know what you think down in the comments below. Because honestly, I think this is fucking crazy, man. This is absolutely fucking insane, y'all. Like, bro, someone explain this shit.
Get 3, 2, 1, go.
Look at it!